r/ask Reddit. What was the last straw in your friendship? I'm a happily married woman. A female friend, who'd recently left her husband for another man, invited me to her house for dinner. Cool, sure, sounds great. She said there would be a surprise waiting for me. Without much prompting, she said she'd arrange for a male friend to join us. You know, you really need to loosen up and have an affair. Yep, that's a hard pass for me. We never talked again. Holy shit, misery loves company. At the time, she was still happily involved in her affair. Her misery came later, after she married the guy and had a kid with him. He had an affair, and left her for the other woman. Not sure if that's karma, but it certainly was predictable. My husband's best friend's wife. I attempted to be friendly with her and welcome her into our group when no one else seemed keen on it. She then proceeded to go around saying how desperate I was to be her friend and that I was a loser. She then constantly proceeded to taunt and put down every social media post I made. And when I asked her about it, she told me to stop my yapping. Guess who needs a job now and is not getting any help from the yapper? Your poor husband's best friend. I can't imagine being married to her is better. Yep, she probably gaslights the shit out of him. When I didn't recognize the person I was talking to anymore, just suddenly hit me. I don't believe a word from people who say people can't change. When people change for the worse, I'm ready to get further with my dignity intact. I think that statement is amended a little better if it's phrased differently. People won't change in the ways you want them to, they'll change. But if you're the only driving factor for them to do so, it's most likely not going to happen. I was actually the last straw. I was hanging out with a couple friends and dude the first was talking about how he was chatting up my girlfriend's younger sister. We were in our early 20s and she was 17. The important thing to remember is dude knew I'd known the girl since she was 10. I was her first crush. And she was, and is basically like a little sister to me. I mentioned that hey, the age difference is kinda big. It might not work out. He said it didn't matter because he was going to pump and dump. That is, have a one night stand and duck off. Both of these friends were utterly shocked when I told the sister and my girlfriend what was up. I apparently violated the bro code and couldn't be friends with them any longer. That was information passed to me in confidence. And I shouldn't have violated that confidence if I was a bro. Like mother duckers. How did you not get this relationship dynamic? What made you think I wouldn't say shit to anyone involved in the situation? What made you think I'd just stand aside and say do your damage? I'll pick up the pieces when you're done and then we can go down another case of natty? You did the right thing. Nobody here will refute that. Even douchey 22-year-old me was like, yo, this is crossing a line I didn't know I had until you brought it up. She kept peddling an MLM and I told her multiple times it was a bad idea. She got her feelings hurt when I told her the bald-faced truth about it. And I told her she can talk to me when she runs out of friends and family to sell makeup to. My former best friend had a habit of trying to make me feel like I was lucky to have him as a friend who can actually put up with me because no one else does. Of course I had other friends, but even then he would often try to make me seem horrible to them in an attempt to destroy the friendship. So anyways, I became friends with someone and of course he didn't like that and started being passive aggressive to her. Naturally I asked him what was wrong and he went on this long rant about what a horrible person I was and how I probably don't even like my new friend as a person or something like that, so I was like, duck it. Why do I put up with this shit, and blocked him on everything while avoiding talking to him in real life. You did the right thing, my guy. I had a best friend from first grade through to the beginning of our senior year. She used to always criticize any ideas I had, what I wore, how I thought. She was super religious. I wasn't. I stupidly put up with it because I thought she might see things differently and know what's best. She would also get super jealous and knock me down because I ended up being better at certain things. She always talked shit about other people she would hang out with. I wasn't allowed to hang out with anyone else but her and her friend group. To me, the final straw was when I found out by a different real friend. She would talk shit about me and everything I'd do to everyone else at school outside of school. I stopped talking to her midway through senior year and hung out with the other friend and her friend group. I was instantly happier and less stressed. To this day I found out, small town living. Yay. She still talked shit to others and made up rumors about me when I moved out with my ex after high school because I wasn't married, and that's a sin. And she's currently doing that right now, but it's okay because since she's religious, God understands. Sorry to go on a rant. The older I get, the more I realize how toxic she was. Least you know better. Who knows what she could have done to your self-esteem if you continue to be her friend. Always had money for weed, but always complaining about not having enough money to pay rent. Also, couldn't hold down a job for more than 2 weeks. It'd go from being the best job in the ducking world to everyone is out to get me, and then duck you all I quit. I had a friend like that right out of high school. Would borrow money she'd never pay back for food or gas, but always had the funds to get trashed. Because no job was good enough for her uneducated, lazy ass, she became the first person I knew to get sucked into an MLM. My friends planned a trip to Boston without me and talked about it right in front of my face. Jokes on them. It got cancelled. Thank you, COVID. That's ducking rude. They're not your friends. Friend who was friendly with me when I ranked first in the tests, and then cut me off when I became second after another guy coming into the class. That's a very weird criterion for who is worth befriending. Maybe the tests were about friendship. Had a college friend. We called buddy to each other and literally went through all those college life stuffs together. But in this friendship, I'm usually the one listening and asking questions, and she's the one getting to talk only about herself. It's my personality to be such, so I was okay. Until a few years later, we went to different countries far apart, and she ran into some issues at work. Got into depression. Still, I got her back and offered comfort and help as much as I can. Then she stopped reading my messages for months. So I stopped sending message thinking I might look pushy. After a week or so, I saw her social media account with all our mutual friends there, talking how bad of a friend I was for abandoning her. A long speech about me. She even mistook that I blocked her. Actually, I just changed my name so she might have not recognized that. But like WTF. Even if I stopped messaging her, because she wasn't responding anyway, I would check on her social media updates all the time. I would think of her all the time. If I had a means to, I'd hop on the plane and get to her, and yet she talked as if someone I don't know. But that's not the last straw yet. I messaged her immediately, apologized for the feelings she had, and asked politely if we can talk. I got ignored again. But at least she took down her post. I messaged her again and made her throwback video posts on her birthday. Nothing but a cold whiff. And then my birthday came around and I didn't hear from her even a single thing. That's it. That's the last slowly burning straw. I have no regrets. I didn't see her that week, and for the first time in months I didn't have a panic attack that week. So I went another week without seeing her, and lo and behold, no panic attacks. It made me really reflect on our friendship and recognize how toxic it was and how much it stressed me out. That was when I finally started to see how manipulative she was and how she was always subtly putting me down. I cut things off and all of a sudden my mental health improved dramatically and I almost completely stopped having panic attacks. I'm glad to hear you're doing much better now. It's a shame it had to end that way, but in the end, you're just better off without her, and there's not much to be done about that besides moving on towards a healthier life. High school bestie's boyfriend at the time sexually assaulted me. She took his side. Bro, so sorry to hear. Did you ever get any justice for what he did? This same thing happened to me. She blamed me because we were all flirting. As if that is a totally okay reason for him to grab both of my breasts with both hands. Unprovoked. People are crazy. They stole £100 out of my wallet. That money was going to charity. It did. It went to the A-Hole Foundation, supporting shady dealings all over the world. I was super close friends with someone. I would have used the my person description when describing her. All of a sudden, she just ghosted me, blew me off, didn't respond to texts or calls, etc. I was really upset for a while, but after a bit of time and a move out of the area, I decided whatever. After a year, due to an illness in my SOS family, we moved back to the area again. She reached out to me and said she cut me out because she didn't want to get hurt by losing me when we moved. so I gave her another chance, albeit cautiously. I was right to be cautious. After a few weeks, she was back to ghosting me. It's not worth my time to chase someone for their friendship. Every once a while she'll send me a checking and text. I'll either give a brief answer or ignore it completely. I still have to be civil, though. She's married to my so's cousin, so I'll see her at family stuff. I'm 43 and knew a guy since grade 9. We sort of come and go but we're always friends. One time last summer he invited my family up to his place for a weekend camp out. Around 10 PM his German Shepherd bit my 7-year-old Newfoundland in the face. Luckily I hadn't been drinking anything and I had to rush my dog to an emergency vet. It took $1,200 to fix the damages. Him and his wife told me that although they didn't have a lot of cash, they would transfer me as much as they could out of their next 2 paychecks. When I went to message them a week later, I found I was blocked on all social media and both their phones. Thanks Ben. If you don't train your dog correctly you pay for any damages it causes. It's as simple as that. Had a friend with super attention seeking and addiction issues. I always felt bad for him so I'd defend him to my friends and to my boyfriend especially, because they used to be close but BF had already had enough. He'd always want me to hang out with him and listen to his issues, especially when he was drunk and manic because of his drug usage. One night I actually talked BF into hanging out and catching up with said friend. We were all drinking and having a good time. That is until BF and I decided that it was late and it was time for bed. That's when friend lost it. Wouldn't stop calling us over and over. We put our phones on silence. I woke up to a long message telling me how horrible of a friend I am and how he was sick of being my backup plan, which I took extreme offense to. Not only have I been the one defending him this whole time and trying to deal with his pity party, but I never once thought of him as anything more than a friend. And the insinuation that I treated him as more was the last straw. Truly sorry to hear it had to end that way. Seems like you're doing better off without him though, and you can never feel bad for having self-respect. Maybe he'll get the help he needs and make amends with you. Conspiracy theories. Non-stop conspiracy theories. It used to be lots of fun, shared interest with a sprinkling of outlandish political ideas, and the occasional conspiracy, but then it spiraled away until all the fun was gone. 6 months later I cut him off completely after it became clear that not only was I required to listen, but I also had to agree with it all or I was the problem. OMG 100% with you on this one. The last straw was my friend telling everyone at a party that getting vaccinated made her toddler slow and she will never let her get vaccinated again. I heard from one of our other friends recently that she's on the coronavirus is a hoax conspiracy. He betrayed my trust, so we gotta do divorce. 2 bros ending their friendship. I know this is serious but the word do divorce is amazing. I'm sorry you lost your friend. I had a friend that would always back out on plans at the last minute. I should mention that she's the one who would make these plans. The last straw was when she asked to meet for lunch to catch up. She picked Friday afternoon. She picked the restaurant and the time. I text her an hour beforehand because I know how she is, and she said she was getting ready. I went there. I didn't go in because again, I know how she is. I waited for her for around 30 minutes. I texted her a couple of times and then left. She messaged me an hour later saying she couldn't make it. I blocked her number, unfriended her, and have never spoken to her since. They didn't seem to respect me or think of me in any high regard. I was the punching bag and the butt of jokes for many years, especially if they were introducing me to their friends or if girls were around. They'd always try to set me up in little games like try to get me to admit something negative about myself or expose me for some negative opinion, neither of which were ever based in fact. They always seemed to form a negative opinion of me. I decided these aren't real friends. Real friends don't treat you this poorly. People who treat others this poorly don't deserve a person like me. My other set of friends respected me and were always nice. I started to treat them badly because I was preemptively defensive and standoffish and I realized I was being a jerk because of the first set of friends. I dropped them, never looked back. I just got tired of bracing myself for every conversation, not knowing whether she would be nice or lash out. Realized that the thought of being away from her was so much more freeing, relaxing, and happy than the thought of talking to her. One of the defining moments of our breakup was on a personal weight loss blog she had. I wrote an encouraging comment on there, telling her to not hate herself for falling off the wagon, but rather to look forward to getting back on. She snapped at me, saying she didn't need sugarcoating from me. She later apologized and said she realized she was out of line, but I was ducking done. Whoa, you made it to the end? You're a ducking beast. I'll cut you a deal. Smash like and subscribe for more curated content, bruh. It's free and that's a great price.